most welcome to Historiespanarna History Reconnaissance and Striking from the Sea, Korean War Carrier Operations. The star of our story is the USS Princeton, a US Navy Essex-class aircraft carrier, launched in July 1945 and designated CV-37. After some early service, she was placed in reserve, but recommissioned in August 1950, and after intensive training of her reservist crew, she joined Task Force 77 off the Korean coast in December that year. And before we continue, if you're not already, please subscribe to our channel and join us on our journey in history. During the Korean War, Carrier Air Group 19, CVG-19, operated USS Princeton's decks from November 1950 to May 1951. The group immediately began flying combat missions, including air cover, ground support, interdicting supply lines and other operations supporting UN forces. As the war progressed, CVG-19 carried out numerous interdiction missions, bombing railroads, bridges, highways and other infrastructure used to support North Korean and Chinese military operations. One cited milestone: by April 4, 1951, CVG-19's aircraft had rendered 54 rail bridges and 37 highway bridges inoperable and damaged dozens more. A key moment was the first use of carrier-launched jet aircraft as bombers, which occurred when the Princeton was deployed to Korea with CVG-19 embarked. It was the Grumman F9F Panther, an early carrier-based jet fighter, the first jet-powered fighter aircraft to see air-to-air combat with the United States Navy, as well as being Grumman's first jet fighter. It was armed with 4 20mm cannons and could also carry a wide assortment of air-to-ground munitions. Production aircraft were typically powered by a single Harrison or Pratt & Whitney turbojet engine. Once China entered the war, late 1950, MiG-15 jet fighters appeared, operating mostly from bases across the Yalu River in Manchuria. This aircraft posed a danger to UN jets and bombers, but they rarely ventured far south over the sea, where the US carriers operated with Task Force 77. Princeton was subjected to occasional near misses from shore-based artillery. However, there is no record of any direct aerial attack on the carrier herself, but she was ready for it, as these images show. In 1952, the US Navy reclassified the USS Princeton as CVA-37, with the A standing for attack carrier. CVG-19 was still with her. However, on her 1953 cruise, it was Carrier Air Group 15 that operated from her flight deck. The mixture of squadrons included both jet, as F9F Panther, and propeller F4U Corsair 80 Skyraider aircraft, typical of the US Navy in that era of transition. On Princeton's first Korean War tour, from her arrival and until May 1951, Her aircraft flew missions during the chosen reservoir retreat, covering the evacuation from Hangnam, and launched interdiction and close support strikes against enemy logistics and infrastructure. From May 31st, 1951 until August 29th, 1951, she continued interdiction and close support operations. Princeton's planes frequently struck bridges, supply routes, and supported frontline UN ground forces. In 1952, Princeton and her air wing flew 138 days of combat operations, including strikes on hydroelectric plants on the Yalu River, attacks on industrial and supply targets deep in North Korea, and interdiction of rail lines. A report from July 18, 1951 on damage inflicted upon the enemy lists the following: 8 gun positions, 1 railroad car, 1 supply pile, 1 ox cart, 9 buildings, 4 trucks and 1 vehicle. As probably destroyed, 3 buildings, 1 mortar position, 1 truck and 2 vehicles. Damage: 6 gun positions, 5 railroad cars, 4 boats and 3 trucks. 3 railroad bridges were also made unusable, and railroad tracks were damaged at 2 points. 1 highway bridge was damaged, and highways were cratered and sowed with butterfly bombs at several points. A report from August 6 the same year states the following: the Princeton furnished interdiction strikes in the Kyushu, Kowon, Yangdok and Majon-ni areas, along with close air support along the eastern front lines. Damage to the enemy was estimated as follows: destroyed 5 bunkers, 8 buildings, 1 gun position, 2 oxen, 1 truck, and probably destroyed 1 railroad car, 1 building, 1 vehicle and 2 trucks. Damaged 13 railroad cars, 1 locomotive and 2 gun positions. Highways were cratered and sowed with butterfly bombs at several points. 3 photo missions were flown for damage assessment and target evaluation. Naval gunfire support was flown for the forces at Wozan. A total of 89 planes were launched. The first plane was launched at 09:15 and the last plane was recovered at 23:44. Her final Korean War cruise began on January 24, 1953. Operations included Cherokee strikes, deep interdiction attacks on supply, artillery, troop concentrations, close air support, and continued disruption of road and rail traffic. She remained on station through the armistice on 27th of July 1953 and departed later in September.
That's all, folks. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.